In last week's video, I explained what bad credit was, the difference between lenders that credit search and credit score, and where I would start in 2023 if I was looking to secure a mortgage with a little bit of bad credit. In this video, I'm going to explain how to obtain a copy of my Check My File credit report, how to break down the information that is inside it, and how the information might impact a lending decision on a mortgage. If this applies to you, then don't worry, we've got you in this one. Hello guys, my name's Chris Duncan and I'm a qualified mortgage broker. In this channel, we explain and help give tips out to anybody looking to secure a mortgage, in particular anybody with bad credit. If you're new to the channel, then please think about subscribing. Why Check My File? Now, Check My File is the only multi-agency credit reporting system in place. Now, this will check Experian, Transunion and Equifax, all the three credit reference agencies contained inside one report. Now, believe it or not, some credit reference agencies will hold different information than others. Now, normally, this is down to an admin error. Now, it isn't uncommon for a lender to only use one of the three credit reference agencies when credit searching you, whether this be a soft or a hard search. So it's really important that we firstly understand which lender we're going to and which reference agency they use and the information that is contained with that particular agency. Now let's jump into a credit report and have a look at the information it contains and how this might look to a lender. Okay guys, so if you followed the link in the show notes below, you'll see that you're now on the checkmyfile.com website. Now this is an affiliated link, so you'll get it free for 30 days. Now if you go up to sign up, you'll be able to input first name, middle name, surname, date of birth, email, password, all the usual information. Now it will ask you for your bank details, and this is because it's a subscription service. Now it's completely free for 30 days. So what's really important is, if you don't want to maintain this, log in, get a copy of the report and cancel the subscription. It won't cost you a penny. Now if I log in, now as you can see, there's some really important information here. If we have a look at Equifax, Experian and TransUnion, you can see that the information contained on these are different. If you look at Equifax, it shows here as 4 active accounts reported. Now if we go over to Experian, we've only got 1 active account reported, and if we go over to TransUnion, we've only got 3. Now if we work our way down, on TransUnion, we've got 10 linked addresses. On Experian, we've only got 5. On Equifax, we've got 6. Okay? If we work our way down to the bottom, every credit search that you run will sit on a credit profile for 12 months. Now again, if we look at Equifax, we've got 15 credit applications in the last 12 months. Now the reason this has got a red exclamation mark next to it is because this is quite high and it will impact your credit score. If we go over to Experian, we've got 6 credit applications in 12 months. And if we go over to TransUnion, we've only got 2. So as you can see, the information contained in this report fluctuates across the 3 credit reference agencies. Now if we work our way down through the report, we can have a look at the payment history across all of the current and closed lenders. So for example, here at the top, we've got the mortgage lender. Now this lender only reported to Equifax. They didn't go to Experian or TransUnion. Below this, we've got a Halifax mortgage. Now this was reported to all 3 agencies. Previous to this, we've got Tesco Bank mortgages, which again was all 3. And prior to that, we had HSBC, which was only with TransUnion. So as you can imagine, if you've got a client that's potentially got an error on their report with, let's say, Equifax and Experian, you'd potentially be looking for a lender that will search with TransUnion. Now as we work further down the profile, we've got loans. Now here you can see that this TSB personal loan is reported across all 3 credit reference agencies. It also shows us 12 previous loans. If we open these, it will show us the lenders that they was all with, their worst status, and whether they're settled or not. Now if we open the most current, it'll show us the payment history. So looking at this, it shows us what the current balance is, the month that we're in when the search was carried out, and we can look at all of the historic years to look at any payment history. So on this, we're looking for the green OK to make sure that payments were made on time and there's no arrears on the account. Now if we work our way down to credit cards, we can see that this individual has had 4 credit cards over the past 6 years. Again, we've got the lender's name down the side. We've got the credit reference agency that this particular lender reported to. We can see that they're all settled with the S sign and that they was all okay, and that was the worst status, so they was all up to date. As we work our way down to bank accounts, now these don't have to have a credit facility. This can literally just be a normal account with no credit. As you can see, Santander will report to Equifax and Transunion, but not Experian. Now I think you get the gist. Insurance is another one. People don't think that insurance will always go onto a credit profile. Now quite often, this isn't the case. A lot of insurers will credit search, especially if you're putting the premiums onto a monthly direct debit. Communication. Now this is massive. Some lenders, if you've got a little bit of adverse on communications, will ignore it, regardless of the amount. But it is really important, if you can, to make sure that you keep up to date with all of your credit profile. Now as we work our way down, if we look at this individual's borrowing history, we can see that it's a little bit all over, and at times they've had really high amounts of borrowing. Now this isn't necessarily a problem, but what a lender's looking at is their track record of how much they've borrowed in the past. Now if you can imagine, a lender will run an affordability assessment based on what you owe at the moment and your current income and outgoings. But if they can see reckless amounts of borrowing historically, this can be a little bit nerve-wracking for an underwriter. Now if we go towards the bottom of the report, as you can see from here, we have no court information recorded with any of the credit reference agencies. So that's no CCJs. Now further down the report, as you can see, there's been quite a lot of searches in the past 12 months. Now energy providers are notorious for this sort of thing. They'll credit search, notices of correction. Again, if you've got an error on your report and you go for a notice of correction, this is where this will land. Now quite often, if you've got a notice of correction, wherever you place a case, it will always refer to an underwriter. And this is because a system can't read the notice of correction. Somebody physically needs to pick up the application and read what the notice of correction is. Okay, so you've managed to log in to your Check My File credit report. Now if you go onto the Summary tab, scroll all the way to the bottom of the report, you will see where it says View Downloadable Report. Press this, it will generate a password, and then press Download. So now you've finally managed to get a copy of your multi-agency credit report. Now you can either work through the report yourself and break down the information, or you can send it in to us direct for a review. If you send your credit report in to us for a review and you give us a basic understanding of what it is you're looking to do, we'll very quickly be able to let you know whether what you're looking to do is feasible or not. Now sometimes with bad credit it isn't always possible to proceed straight away, but what we will do is we'll give you some indication and some guidance on what you need to do to get your credit profile in a situation where a lender will look at it and accept you at a mortgage application stage. Now sometimes this might be waiting for a CCJ or a default to either drop off your credit report completely or become a certain age. For example, there's lenders that will disregard and completely ignore certain CCJs regardless of their value, providing that they're over 3 years old. Now a common thing that people think is that these CCJs need to be paid, and that's actually wrong. Sometimes it doesn't really matter whether the CCJ is paid or not. Now if you're speaking to a mortgage broker already and they've given you an answer that you're able to lend money from somebody, but they haven't run you through a decision in principle and they haven't looked at your credit report, then they're guessing. Because let's face it, quite often people have bad credit and they don't even know they've got it. Okay, so you've downloaded your credit report, you've tried to interpret the information as best as you can, but you'd like to forward it over to us for a review. What will I do with the information contained inside that credit report? Initially, I'll download the report and I'll completely ignore the score. Why? Because the score isn't really relevant at this stage. What I will look at is how you're maintaining your accounts, and we'll be looking for the little green tick across all of your accounts. Now don't worry if you haven't got that. We'll slowly start to break down the report, looking at things like missed payments, any arrears that you've got with lenders, any defaults, CCJs, notice of corrections where you've perhaps had an error on your report and you've wrote to the lender direct and had them put a notice of correction on there. If you're on the electoral roll at your current property, now why is this important? Well, this is important because if a lender can't fix you to an address, then they don't know where you're based. And primarily, their only way of doing this is looking at your documentation. So if they can verify where you live electronically, it will make the process so much easier. Now, I know I said score wasn't important, but quite often, if you're not on the electoral register, then your score can be impacted. Once I've looked at these, I'll start looking at credit utilisation. Now this means, let's say you've got a credit card with an available balance of around £1,000. If you're £999 into that available balance, from a lender's point of view, this doesn't look fantastic because you're maximising your available balance. However, if you've got a credit card, let's say, that's got a £1,000 limit and you're only £200 a month into it, then this is quite acceptable. It's an agreed credit facility and you're maintaining payments and not maxing that facility out. Previous account conduct. Now, quite often people think that you only need to look at your current accounts that are open now. Now, this is wrong. Any accounts that you've had open in the last 6 years will all be listed on your credit report, even if they're closed. So previous account conduct on closed accounts will still affect a mortgage application going forward. The other things we'll look at on a credit report are CFAS entries to see if you've been convicted of fraud or had any red markers put against you, insolvency records to see if you've been bankrupted previously, debt arrangements, and finally the last thing I'll look at is the credit score. After completing an assessment of your credit report, if it's something you're able to proceed with, then fantastic. We'll move you on to the next stage of the process. However, if you're not in a position to proceed because you've got a little bit of bad credit that we're not able to proceed with, then we'll send you away with some tips and some guidance on how to overcome this. Now, this might simply be just waiting a period of time for things to drop off. It might be that paying balances down might help you on affordability. Until we've looked at it, we can't really advise. I hope you found the information in this video helpful, and hopefully it's given you an insight on what we do as a mortgage broker when looking into a credit profile, and it has given you a little bit of help if you're looking to go through it yourself. If you have any comments or questions, then please put them in the comment section below and I'll come back to you. If you haven't already, then please think about subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.